You remember when this meta was absolutely defined by being one of the worst points in the game's history? Now we're back at a diverse point. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So I want to talk about this week's weekly top data out here and how this format is pretty much what we were kind of expecting to go into. But between all of the, crybabies out here being like, oh, Snake Eyes is still the best deck in the room. It is not the best deck in the room. It is one of the better decks in the room, yes, but times have changed on this small window. So your biggest represented deck of tops for this week being Yubel. I can't say that I'm not surprised to see this. Yubel definitely feels like the stronger deck, but this is not like a 50% representation. This is like a 26er. And I can tell you, looking through a lot of the regionals that I did look at, I did notice one very interesting thing. And it was, Yubel did have large amounts of tops, but it was struggling to get those first place finishes in. And I did find that kind of interesting, actually. You have this deck that's got a 26% representation of top cuts in top eights, but the deck itself is not overcoming these boundaries and finishing in those first places. That's interesting to take note of. Now, we only had 9 Tenpai tops out of the week here, but Tenpai did lock down 2 first place finishes as of the time of this data being put together. So that is also kind of incredibly interesting to take note of out here. Tenpai with a smaller, representation of 11%, but you're pushing that top cut and having this deck be this incredibly top-heavy monster. That's interesting. I like that. And then we had 7 Ritual Beast decks. Now, Ritual Beast, Protoss Control is a very real deck right now. I'm happy to report that Ritual Beast is doing well at 8% of your top cuts out of the week here. And, this is technically, I guess we can toss this as the week 1. People are still kind of testing the waters out here. They're deciding, all right, are these the variations and things that I want to go with? And sure, that's fine. You can have all of these different ideas of, what's going to be super optimized, sure. But for now, yeah, Protoss and friends doing well. And then we had 6 Fire Kings. Now, what I find hilarious about this is, pure Snake Eyes at this point has fallen off super hard. It's not that the deck is doing bad, no, but things have changed for the deck in its current iterations. This deck is not able to do the same level of stupid plays that it was able to before. You had to kind of roll back and clutch onto the Fire King package to maintain your individual identity as a deck. And we already know that, like, the Snake Eyes Fire King deck already rolls down in terms of representation. Okay, now, we also had 6 Memento decks. Excuse me, Memento is doing stuff? Yes, it is. This is actually one of the happiest things that I was extremely awesome with seeing, because Memento is such a cool deck. Memento has just some of the coolest ideas built into it that players can have, and this is all pre-Goblin support, where you get the ability to play multiple Goblin Calligrapher dudes and be able to go down those combo lines. That's good. We also had 5 White Forest. So the Runic variation out here I did see doing some pretty heavy damage in top cut. Zapper Shrimp is a stupid card. But if you're looking at the pure Runic and you're like, oh, pesky Runic, no. It's, Pure Runic is having a little bit of a hard time out here. Not to say that the deck is doing bad, but, looking at how everything is right now, the White Forest build is probably the stronger build by about 1.5 miles. Kashtira, mid-range control, back at it again. I do think that, Fenrir being able to banish key stuff from your opponent, or ripping a phantom out of your opponent's extra deck, or getting in there and, stealing something that they need for their play lines, is going to be a very strong thing. You are going to want to keep focus on that. All right. We also had only four pure Snake Eyes builds. That's hilarious, actually. That Snake Eyes has fallen so far here, putting this deck into such a disadvantage that, people are clutching back onto the Fire King cards as the resources to play the game. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a good ban list. We also have 3 stun decks, which, hello, Pure Runic, how are you? Having 3 Pure Runic decks top at a 3.8%, in my opinion, is not a bad thing. I have zero issue with this. I think that this is the level of turnover that you actually kind of want to see. Voiceless Voice also had a 3.8% conversion turnover as well. I was told that Voiceless Voice was supposed to be the best deck this format. People are like, oh, pre-ban list, don't worry, Voiceless Voice is going to handle everything. Yeah, it had 3 tops. It's in the same boat as Runic Stun. And that's not a terrible thing, but I don't see a point out here, looking at the Voiceless Voice stuff, that you see this deck, being crazy good. It still has the same issues it had previously. We also have 2 Chimera Illusion decks. That deck's kind of stupid, actually. I didn't initially realize how good Chimera good stuff was. We also had 2 Labyrinth variations. I'm not surprised to see Labyrinth doing well right now, actually. You're sculpting into a new format. Everything's kind of all over the place right now. You got to decide, hey, what is going to be the optimized result for what I need, or what answer do I need to have for this? And Lab just checks all of those marks, like, honestly. We also have 2 Sprite decks in Top Cut. I didn't expect to see Sprite out here, but okay. And then one of our one-off sightings was actually Vanquish Soul. I found this, the fact that Vanquish Soul managed to squeak in a singular top is pretty hilarious, in my opinion. I respect that. I respect that this deck managed to overcome all these ratios. The dedicated duelist was able to show the world, hey, Vanquish Soul is an incredibly competent deck, and we can do things. Overall, looking at your tops right now, these are all just top 8 culminations. This format is a lot better than people thought it was going to be. To the people that were crying about this, I'm happy to have you be proven wrong. All right, this is a much better format than last was, and that's exactly what we needed to see. Now, weekly first places. This is where things get very interesting. So Ritual Beast had 3 wins this week. That's first places. Excuse me, Protoss Control might be an angry little guy out here. We might be getting to see, big ol' angry Protoss actually doing things and controlling the game. I'm happy about that. We also had 2 Tenpai Dragon wins, not all that surprising. Yubel only managed to get 2 Ws, which is freaking hilarious, by the way, because they had such a strong top cut. So I was talking about, Yubel's topping, but, it's having issues. We also had 1 Fire King top cut. Okay, so not a lot's changed in that. 1 Snake Eyes. Wow, how the mighty have fallen. So technically Snake Eyes has 2 wins. You just have to use the Fire King cards. And then we had a White Forest win out here as well. So your first place is definitely a different tale than everything else. Yes, the higher end meta decks are performing, but you have diversity everywhere. You have what I would deem a good format. And obviously, I know Azumina cards are coming. I know that this format is only literally a month long, and times are going to change very quickly. I get that. All right, I know a lot of people are about to be very upset having to get Fluowarsos, but welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! This is what we all expected, and this is how things are going to go. Yep, sad day. You guys have a good rest of your day, all right?
Patrons!
Thank you. Ah!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.